The desperate Cal opening scene. The Galactic Council chambers floated in silent orbit above the peaceful world of Valix Prime. Inside, Ambassador Cora of the Valixian species stood before the assembled representatives, her blue skin pale with fear. For 300 cycles, the Council had maintained peace across 40 star systems. Now that peace was shattered. The threat. The Ravagers had come from the dark space between galaxies. No one knew what they wanted. No one could communicate with them. They simply consumed. Planets, stations, entire civilizations disappeared into their massive bioships. The Council's defense fleets had tried to stop them. They failed. 17 worlds had gone dark in just 2 months. First contact with humans. Cora remembered when humans first appeared before the Council 5 years ago. Everyone had been shocked. Earth was a death world, a planet so dangerous that most species would die within hours of landing. Heavy gravity, wild temperature swings, poisonous atmosphere mixtures, and predators that hunted in packs. Yet humans had not only survived but thrived there. The Council had welcomed them carefully, giving humanity a small trade station and observer status. Humans seemed friendly enough, though their military strength remained largely unknown. They kept to themselves, trading medical supplies and unusual entertainment media. The request. Now, with conventional forces crumbling, Cora made an unprecedented proposal. "We must ask the humans for help," she told the Council. Elder Moth of the insectoid Chitauri immediately objected. "They are newcomers. Barely tested. We should seek the formed collective instead." But Cora shook her head. "The collective's fleet is 3 months away. We have 3 weeks before the Ravagers reach the core worlds. The human station is only 5 days from here." The vote was close, but desperation won. The Council sent the distress call. Human response. Captain Ross of the human diplomatic vessel Horizon's Edge received the message within hours. He was a middle-aged man with gray hair and calm eyes that had seen too much. He read the message twice, then opened a secure channel to Earth Command. The response came back faster than anyone expected. "Fleet is ready. Jumping in 48 hours." Cora was surprised when she received confirmation. "Ready?" she asked Captain Ross during their video call. "You have a fleet prepared?" Ross smiled slightly. "Ambassador, humans have a saying. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. We've been watching the Ravagers since they appeared. We've been getting ready." The arrival. 3 days later, Cora stood on the observation deck of Council Station Gamma, watching the deep space sensors. When the human fleet arrived, she felt her legs weaken. They didn't come through normal jump gates. They tore holes in space itself, emerging in flashes of blue-white energy. 1 ship, then 10, then 50, then 200 vessels of war poured through the rifts. The ships were like nothing the Council had ever built. Where Council vessels were elegant curves and smooth lines, human warships were angular and brutal. They bristled with weapons. Their hulls were thick armor plating covered in strange markings and symbols. The flagship was massive, 3 times the size of the Council's largest battleship. It was called Defiance, and it carried Admiral Cole, commander of Earth's 3rd Expeditionary Fleet. The meeting. Cora met Admiral Cole in the station's conference room. He was tall for a human, with dark skin and eyes that seemed to calculate everything they saw. 2 of his officers stood behind him, Lieutenant Park and Commander Williams. "Thank you for coming," Cora began. "We are grateful." "Save it," Cole interrupted, though not unkindly. "We've analyzed your tactical data. The Ravagers are a biological hive entity, probably controlled by a central intelligence. Your weapons use plasma and particle beams. They're absorbing the energy and using it to grow stronger." Cora felt a chill. "Yes, how did you—" "We fought something similar before," Cole said quietly. "On Earth, long before we reached the stars. We learned how to kill things that won't die." He pulled up a holographic display. "We use kinetic weapons. Old-fashioned metal moving very, very fast. We use nuclear weapons. We use chemical warfare. We use fire." He looked at Cora with those calculating eyes. "We're Deathworlders, Ambassador. We know how to bring death." The first battle preparation. The human fleet moved with precision that amazed the Council observers. Within 12 hours of arrival, they had established a defensive perimeter around the threatened worlds. Admiral Cole set up his command center on Council Station Gamma, working alongside Cora and the Council's military advisors. The Ravagers will reach the Taylor system in 4 days, Cora explained, pointing at the star map. 3 billion Tellurians live there. We've been evacuating, but there's not enough time. Cole studied the map in silence. His officers stood ready, waiting for orders. Finally, he spoke. We don't evacuate. We fight them here. Lieutenant Park, deploy the minefield. Commander Williams, position the railgun platforms. We turn Taylor into a killing ground. The council advisors looked uncomfortable. Elder Moth clicked his mandibles nervously. Admiral, perhaps a strategic withdrawal? No, Cole said firmly. Humanity doesn't abandon people who asked for help. We end this here. The Ravagers arrive. 4 days later, the Ravagers entered the Taylor system. Their bioships were enormous, organic structures that pulsed with sickly green light. They moved through space like predators swimming through water. There were 30 of them, each the size of a small moon. On the bridge of the Defiance, Cole watched the enemy approach. All ships, battle stations. Activate the welcome mat. The welcome mat was 10,000 mines scattered throughout the system, each one a nuclear warhead wrapped in a kinetic shell. As the Ravagers passed through, the mines detonated in brilliant flashes of atomic fire. The explosions tore into the bioships. Green blood sprayed into space. Several Ravagers screamed, a sound that somehow traveled through the vacuum, a telepathic wail of pain and rage that made every living being in the system feel sick. But they didn't stop. They kept coming. The battle begins. Railguns fire, Cole ordered calmly. The human warships opened up. Railguns fired metal slugs at incredible speeds. Simple iron and tungsten accelerated to a fraction of light speed. The projectiles punched through the Ravagers' organic armor like bullets through flesh. The Ravagers tried to absorb the kinetic energy, but there was too much mass, too much force. Their bodies couldn't adapt fast enough. Chunks of biomatter exploded off the massive creatures. They fired back. Streams of acid and bioplasma shot toward the human fleet. Several ships took hits. Their shields flared and failed. Hull plating melted, but the humans didn't retreat. They closed in. Close combat. Launch the boarding pods, Cole commanded. Cora watched in horror from the observation deck. Boarding pods? You can't be serious. But the humans were serious. Hundreds of small craft shot from the fleet toward the wounded Ravagers. They attached to the bioships' hulls like parasites, and Marines in heavy armor cut their way inside. Inside the Ravager ships, the human Marines fought through twisting organic corridors. The creatures tried to seal them in, tried to digest them with acidic enzymes. The Marines responded with flamethrowers and explosive charges. Lieutenant Park led one of the assault teams. He was young but experienced. Moving through the alien vessel with his squad, they found what they were looking for. A massive organ that pulsed with energy, some kind of neural center. Target acquired, Park reported, planting charges. The explosives were simple but effective. When they detonated, the entire Ravager ship convulsed. Its outer hull cracked. Its weapons went silent. And then it died, floating dead in space. Turning point. Across the battlefield, the same scene repeated. Human Marines infiltrated the bioships and destroyed them from within. The Ravagers had never faced an enemy willing to board them, to fight inside their own bodies. The creatures began to retreat. They had consumed dozens of civilizations, but they had never encountered prey that fought back with such violence, such determination. Admiral Cole watched them flee on his tactical display. All ships pursue. Don't let them regroup. The human fleet chased the Ravagers out of the system, hammering them with missiles and railgun fire. By the time the battle ended, 23 Ravager bioships had been destroyed. The remaining 7 had jumped away, fleeing into deep space. Aftermath on Council Station Gamma. The observers stood in stunned silence. They had watched the Council's fleets fight the Ravagers for months, watched elegant tactics and careful strategies fail again and again. The humans had won in 6 hours. Cora found Admiral Cole in the station's medical bay, visiting his wounded crew. How? She asked simply. Cole looked at her with tired eyes. We're from Earth, Ambassador. Down there everything wants to kill you, so you learn to kill first, kill fast, and never stop until the threat is gone. The human ships accelerated, their engines pushing limits that would tear apart most vessels. Human engineering was built for punishment, Designed by a species that understood survival meant pushing past every boundary, the Titan led the formation, 11 warships following in perfect coordination. On the Krell command ship, Varkas stared at his display in growing disbelief. The human vessels were approaching at speeds that should be impossible. Their trajectory showed no caution, no hesitation. They were charging directly at his superior numbers. "Commander, they're not slowing down," his officer Dren reported, anxiety creeping into his voice. "Should we open fire?" Varkas felt uncertainty gnaw at him. He commanded 20 ships. The humans had 12. Numbers favored him. But those stories about Deathworlders? "Open a channel," Varkas ordered. "Let's see if they're stupid enough to fight." The communication link opened. Varkas put authority into his voice. "Human vessels, you are interfering with Krell Syndicate operations. We claim this colony by right of conquest. Leave now or face destruction. You are outnumbered." There was a pause. Then Captain Jack Rivers appeared on the screen. His expression was calm, but his eyes held something that made Varkas's confidence waver. It was the look of a predator that had already decided you were prey. "Krell vessel, this is Captain Rivers of Earth Defense Force. You have exactly one chance. Release all prisoners, withdraw your forces, and leave this system. Refuse, and we will remove you by force." Varkas laughed, though it sounded hollow even to his own ears. "You threaten me? You have 12 ships against 20. Your mathematics are poor, human." Jack's expression didn't change. "You're right about one thing. The math is simple. 12 human warships, 20 Krell raiders. This won't take long. Last chance. Withdraw or be destroyed." Varkas cut the transmission, anger overwhelming his caution. "All ships battle formation. Show these Deathworlders what happens when they challenge the Krell." The Krell fleet moved into position, plasma cannons charging. They fired first, brilliant streams of superheated energy lancing toward the human ships. On the Titan, Alex performed evasive maneuvers that would snap the spine of a normal pilot. The human ships twisted and rolled, moving with impossible agility. Most of the plasma fire missed entirely. The few shots that connected splashed against shields that held firm. "Their aim is terrible," Maria observed, compensating for predictive targeting. "They're used to fighting people who can't dodge." "Return fire," Jack ordered calmly. "Show them the difference." The ESS Titan spoke with the voice of Earth. Railguns unleashed solid slugs of dense metal accelerated to relativistic speeds. No plasma, no energy weapons. Just pure kinetic force backed by physics that didn't care about shields or armor. The first Krell frigate never knew what hit it. The railgun slug punched through its shields like paper, tore through the hull and exploded out the other side. The ship broke apart in a cascade of debris and fire. "Target destroyed," Maria reported. "Engaging second target." The human fleet opened fire as one. Missiles streaked across space, each one carrying warheads designed by a species that understood overkill. Kinetic cannons hammered Krell vessels with projectiles that turned their armor into shrapnel. The sound of human weapons would have been deafening if space carried sound. Varkas watched in horror as 3 more of his ships died in the first 30 seconds. The humans moved like nothing he'd ever seen. Their ships danced through space, dodging return fire while their weapons found targets with terrifying accuracy. "All ships, concentrate fire on their lead vessel," Varkas screamed into the command channel. "Overwhelm them!" 10 Krell ships turned their weapons on the Titan. Plasma fire converged from multiple angles. But Alex was ready. The pilot threw the Titan into a spiral that should have torn the inertial dampeners apart. The ship twisted like a living thing, and most of the fire missed. What didn't miss slammed into shields that flickered but held. "Shield strength at 70%, Ben reported. But we're good." Returning the favor. The Titan's main cannon spoke. A single railgun slug, larger than the others, accelerated to just below light speed. It hit a Krell assault carrier dead center. The ship's shields collapsed instantly. The slug continued through the hull, through the reactor, and out the far side. The carrier exploded in a fireball that consumed 2 nearby frigates. 3 for 1, Alex said with satisfaction. Not bad. While the space battle raged, human dropships launched from the assault carriers. 20 small craft, each carrying a team of Marines, descended toward the colony. They moved fast, using the chaos above as cover. Sergeant Mike Torres sat in the lead dropship, checking his rifle one last time. Around him, his team did the same. They were quiet, focused. This was what they trained for. 2 minutes to landing, the pilot announced. Krell ground forces are scattered throughout the colony. Heavy resistance expected, Mike nodded. Everyone check your targets. Civilians present. Non-lethal options first when possible, but if they shoot at you, put them down hard. These are raiders, not soldiers. Let's show them the difference. The dropships hit the ground hard. Ramps dropped. Human Marines poured out into the colony corridors. They moved with practiced precision, weapons ready, eyes scanning. Mike's team encountered the first Krell ground troops within seconds. The raiders had been looting a laboratory, dragging terrified Velian scientists toward their transport ship. They turned in surprise at the sound of human boots. For a moment, both sides froze. The Krell soldiers were large, nearly 7 feet tall with thick armor. They looked down at the humans with contempt. Humans were smaller, surely weaker. Then Mike's team opened fire. The humans used pulse rifles, weapons that fired electromagnetic projectiles. The Krell armor, designed to stop plasma, did nothing against solid rounds. 3 raiders dropped in the first burst. The others scrambled for cover, firing back wildly. But the humans were already moving. They flowed through the corridor like water, using cover, supporting each other. Marine Emma threw a flash grenade. The explosion of light and sound disoriented the remaining Krell. Mike's team closed in with brutal efficiency. Within 30 seconds, the fight was over. 8 Krell soldiers down, 0 human casualties. Mike keyed his radio. Corridor 7 clear. Civilians secure. Similar reports came from all 20 teams. Human Marines swept through the colony like a storm. The Krell ground forces, used to terrorizing helpless victims, found themselves facing soldiers who trained every day for combat. Soldiers from a world where everything wanted to kill you. In the shelter, Tovan heard explosions and gunfire. He clutched his tablet, watching security feeds with amazement. Human soldiers were everywhere, moving with coordination that seemed impossible. They protected Velian civilians, putting themselves between innocence and danger. Young Kess watched through a crack in the shelter door. She saw a human soldier, a woman with short dark hair, clearing a corridor. A Krell raider appeared from a side passage, weapon raised. The human woman moved faster than Kess thought possible. She rolled, fired twice, and the raider dropped. Then the woman saw Kess peeking out. For a moment their eyes met. Kess felt fear. The human was covered in tactical gear, armed with weapons, her face streaked with sweat. She looked dangerous. Then the soldier smiled. It was gentle and warm. "You're safe now, kid," Emma said softly. "Stay in the shelter a little longer. We're almost done here." Kess felt her fear melt away. She nodded, and the human soldier moved on, securing the next corridor. In space, the battle was reaching its end. Half the Krell fleet was destroyed. The others were trying desperately to escape. But the human ships were faster. They hunted down fleeing vessels with ruthless efficiency. Varkus's command ship shuddered under impacts. His shields were gone, his weapons offline. Around him, his bridge crew looked at him with fear and accusation. "Order retreat," Varkus shouted. "All remaining ships jump to hyperspace now." 8 Krell vessels managed to escape, their hyperdrives engaging just before human missiles reached them. They vanished into the safety of faster-than-light travel, leaving their dead behind. Jack watched them go and considered pursuit. Then Maria spoke. "Captain, the colony is secure. All Krell ground forces neutralized or surrendered. Our Marines are reporting 0 civilian casualties." Jack nodded. "Let them run. Let them spread the word. Signal the fleet to stand down. Get damage reports and casualty counts." The reports came back quickly. 2 human ships with moderate damage, 17 injured crew members, 0 deaths, against 20 Krell vessels. On the Krell command ship racing through hyperspace, Varkus sat in stunned silence. His officer Dren spoke quietly. "Commander, what do we do now?" Varkus thought about those human ships, their speed, their weapons, the way they fought with absolute coordination. He thought about the stories he'd dismissed as exaggeration. "Spread the word through every Krell channel," Varkus said, his voice hollow. "Never attack anyone under human protection. Never. Those aren't soldiers. They're demons from a hell world, and they don't lose." Down in the colony, the last Krell raider surrendered to Mike's team. The sergeant secured the prisoner and turned to check on the civilians. Velians were emerging from shelters, looking at the human Marines with a mixture of fear and wonder. Tovan approached carefully. He'd never been this close to a human before. Mike was big, armed, intimidating. But when the sergeant saw him, he smiled and extended a hand. "Administrator Tovan, I'm Sergeant Torres. Earth Defense Force, your people are safe now." Tovan stared at the offered hand. In Velian culture, physical contact was reserved for family, but something made him reach out. Mike's grip was firm but careful, aware of Velian fragility. "Thank you," Tovin whispered. "Thank you for coming." "That's what neighbors do," Mike said simply. Above, the human fleet took up positions around the colony. They would remain until Velian defense forces arrived. In the shelter, Kes watched Emma stand guard at the entrance, keeping them safe. The Deathworlders had arrived. And instead of monsters, they found something they never expected. Protectors. Understanding the Deathworlders, the aftermath of battle settled over the colony like dust after a storm. Commander Rena arrived on the first Velian transport, her heart racing as the ship descended toward Prime 3. Through the viewport, she could see the human warships in orbit, their hulls scarred from combat but still powerful and imposing. Debris from Krell vessels floated in the distance, silent testimony to what had happened here. When her transport touched down, Rena stepped out onto the landing platform and stopped. Human Marines stood at regular intervals, weapons lowered but ready. They were huge compared to Velians, each one built with muscle and strength that seemed impossible. But they nodded respectfully as she passed, and their eyes held no hostility. Inside the colony, Rena found something she didn't expect. Human soldiers were helping repair damaged walls. Human medics moved through makeshift treatment centers, tending to injured Velians with gentle hands. A human engineer was fixing the power grid while explaining the process to fascinated Velian technicians. Administrator Tovan met her in the central plaza. His face was exhausted but alive with relief. "Commander Rena," he said, embracing her in the Velian way. "You saved us. The humans saved us." "I was terrified I'd made the wrong choice," Rena admitted. "The stories about them." "Forget the stories," Tovan interrupted. "Come, see for yourself." He led her to the medical center. Inside, Dr. Lisa Wang worked at a portable treatment station, her movements precise despite obvious exhaustion. She'd been working for 6 hours straight, treating minor injuries and calming traumatized civilians. A young Velian child sat on the examination table, crying from a scraped knee. Lisa knelt down to the child's eye level. "Hey there. I know it hurts, but you're very brave. This is going to feel cold, okay?" She applied medical gel with such careful gentleness that the child stopped crying. Then Lisa produced a small adhesive bandage decorated with stars. "There, all better. You're a tough one." Lisa smiled warmly, and the child smiled back. Rena watched in amazement. This human doctor, who could probably break Velian bones with casual strength, treated their children with the tenderness of a mother. "She's been here all day," Tovin said quietly. "She refuses to rest until every injured person is treated. All of them are like this." Outside, Sergeant Mike Torres supervised the security perimeter. His team had been on duty since the battle ended, ensuring no Krell stragglers remained hidden. But when a group of Velian children approached nervously, Mike called his Marines to take a break. "It's okay," he said to the children, setting down his rifle. "We're not going to hurt you." The children stared with wide eyes. One of them, braver than the others, stepped forward. It was Kes, the girl who'd seen Emma during the fighting. "Are you really from a Deathworld?" Kes asked, her voice small but curious. Mike smiled. "Yeah, Earth is pretty dangerous compared to most places. Want to know about it?" The children gathered around as Mike told them about Earth. He described mountains that touch the sky and oceans deeper than space. He told them about storms that could flatten cities and heat that could bake the land. He mentioned predators that hunted in the darkness and diseases that once killed millions. "But your planet tried to kill you," one child said. "Why do you still love it?" Mike thought about that. "Because it made us who we are. Yeah, Earth is harsh, but it's also beautiful. It taught us to be strong, but also to work together. On Earth, if you don't help your neighbor, you both die. So we learned that the most important thing isn't being the strongest. It's taking care of each other." Emma joined the group, sitting cross-legged on the ground. Kes immediately moved to sit beside her. The girl had been following Emma everywhere since the battle. "Are all humans warriors?" Kes asked. Emma shook her head. "No, most of us are regular people. Teachers, doctors, farmers, artists. But we all learn to protect ourselves and others. On Earth, we have a saying, the strongest person in the room is the one who protects everyone else." "But you're so scary," another child said. "You have weapons and armor." "I know we look scary," Emma admitted. "But think about it this way. If a big predator came to hunt you, would you want a friend who looked scary and could fight it off? Or a friend who looked nice but couldn't help? The children considered this. Slowly, understanding dawned in their eyes. Later that evening, Captain Jack Rivers met with Commander Renna and Administrator Tovin in the colony's conference room. Renna had been dreading this meeting, expecting demands for payment or political concessions. Instead, Jack brought coffee, real Earth coffee, and shared it with them. First, Jack said, "I want to apologize for any fear we caused. We know our reputation in the galaxy isn't great." Renna blinked in surprise. "You're apologizing? Captain, you saved 3,000 lives." "True. But we also showed up as an armed fleet from a species known for violence. That must have been terrifying." Jack took a sip of his coffee. "I want you to understand something about humans. Yes, we come from a harsh world. Yes, we're good at fighting. But we didn't survive Earth by being the strongest. We survived by taking care of each other." "I don't understand," Tovan said. "Your weapons are incredible. Your soldiers are fearsome. How can you say strength isn't what saved you?" Jack leaned forward. "Because it's not. Let me tell you about Earth. Our planet tried to kill us in every way possible. Extreme cold, extreme heat, predators, diseases, natural disasters. Any human alone would die quickly. But we didn't face it alone. We formed groups, families, communities. When one person fell, others helped them up. When danger came, we stood together." He pulled up a holographic display showing Earth. "This taught us something important. The most dangerous thing isn't the biggest predator or the worst storm. It's being alone. So we learned to never let anyone face danger alone. When we heard your distress call, we didn't think about payment or politics. We thought about 3,000 people who needed help. How could we not come?" Renna felt tears welling in her eyes. "The galaxy believes you're monsters." "I know," Jack said gently. "And in a way, we are dangerous. We can fight. We can kill when we have to. Earth trained us for violence. But it also trained us for compassion. Because on Earth, the people who survived weren't the cruelest or the strongest. They were the ones who helped each other." "What do you want from us?" Tovan asked, still uncertain. "There must be something," Jack smiled. "Honestly, we'd like to be friends. We're new to this galaxy. Most species are afraid of us. But maybe you could help spread a different story. Not about Deathworlders or monsters. About neighbors who show up when you call for help." Mira, who'd been quietly observing, spoke up. "Captain, may I ask a question? Your tactical officer, Maria, mentioned during the battle that your crews train constantly for combat. Why do you maintain such a large military if you value peace?" Maria, who'd joined the meeting, answered, "Because peace only exists when good people can defend it. We learned on Earth that hoping for peace isn't enough. You have to be ready to fight for it. But fighting should always be the last choice, not the first. We call it peace through strength," Jack added. "We stay strong so that people like the Krell think twice before attacking anyone. And when they attack anyway, we're ready to stop them." Over the following days, something remarkable happened in the colony. Valians and humans worked side by side to repair the damage. The two species learned from each other in ways that surprised both groups. Engineer Ben showed Velian technicians how human power systems worked. "It's overbuilt," he admitted. "Probably uses twice the materials necessary. But on Earth, things break. So we make everything tough enough to take punishment and keep working." The Valian engineers were amazed. Their systems were elegant and efficient but fragile. Human systems were crude but nearly indestructible. They began discussing hybrid designs that combined both approaches. In the medical center, Dr. Lisa worked with Velian doctors to share knowledge. The Velians had advanced understanding of biological systems and chemical treatments. Humans had experience with trauma medicine and rapid healing techniques. Together, they developed new protocols that saved lives neither could save alone. The children were the quickest to adapt. Kes and her friends played with human Marines during breaks, learning Earth games and teaching Velian ones in return. They discovered that beneath the scary armor and weapons, humans laughed at silly jokes and made funny faces and loved hearing stories. One afternoon, Kes asked Emma the question that had been bothering her. "Emma, when you saw me during the fighting, weren't you scared? You could have been hurt protecting me." Emma knelt down to Kes's level. "Of course I was scared. Being brave doesn't mean not feeling fear. It means doing what's right even when you're afraid. But why?" Kes pressed. "I'm not your family. You didn't know me." Emma smiled and her eyes were kind. "On Earth we have a saying, we're all family under the same sky. You needed protection. That made you my responsibility. Humans have this thing called pack bonding. Once we decide someone is part of our pack, we protect them with everything we have. Am I part of your pack now? Kes asked hopefully. Emma hugged her gently. Yeah, kid. You're part of the pack now, and that's forever. News of the rescue spread across the galaxy at the speed of light. Other species watched the reports with amazement. The Velians, known for their objectivity, shared detailed accounts of what happened. They showed footage of human soldiers protecting civilians, of human doctors treating the wounded, of human engineers rebuilding damaged structures. The story reached the Galactic Council, where representatives from dozens of species gathered. The Velian ambassador stood before them and spoke clearly. We called for Deathworlders, expecting monsters, but heroes arrived instead. The humans came when no one else could. They asked for nothing. They fought to protect people they'd never met. They stayed to help us rebuild. I propose we reconsider our stance on humanity. The proposal sparked heated debate. Some species remained fearful, but others began to reconsider their prejudices. And quietly, more distress calls began, including a special code. A code that meant request human assistance. 3 weeks after the battle, the human fleet prepared to depart. The Velian Defense Force had arrived and secured the system. Captain Jack stood on the colony landing platform, saying goodbye to the people he'd fought to save. Commander Renna clasped his hand in the human way, no longer afraid of the gesture. We owe you everything. The Velian Assembly has voted unanimously to establish a formal alliance with Earth. We want to share our sensor technology with you, and we want you to help train our defense forces so next time we can protect ourselves. We'd be honored, Jack said. But remember, asking for help isn't weakness. It's smart. We help each other. That's what makes us stronger. Tovan approached with young Kes in tow. The girl held a handmade gift, a woven bracelet in Velian style but with Earth colors woven in. This is for Emma, Kes said shyly, so she remembers me. Emma accepted the gift with visible emotion. She tied it around her wrist immediately. I could never forget you, Kes, and remember what I said. You're part of the pack. That means if you ever need help, you call us. Doesn't matter where we are or what we're doing, we come. That's a promise. All humans keep their promises? Kes asked. The important ones? Always. As the human ships prepared for departure, thousands of Velians gathered to watch. They waved and cheered, no longer afraid. Children held signs thanking their protectors. Adults who'd thought humans were monsters now called them friends. On the bridge of the ESS Titan, Jack watched the colony recede in the distance. Maria stood beside him, reviewing the mission report. Captain, we're receiving messages from Velian Station 12. They're asking if we'd be interested in joint patrol missions, and the Galactic News Network wants an interview about what happened here. Jack smiled. Tell them yes to the patrols. As for the interview, let's have Ben do it. He's better at explaining things simply. You think this will change how the galaxy sees us? Maria asked. Maybe, maybe not. But it's a start. One colony at a time, one rescue at a time, we show them who we really are. Jack looked at the stars ahead. We're dangerous. We won't pretend we're not. But danger used to protect people? That's not a monster. That's a guardian, Alex called from the pilot station. Captain, we're receiving a priority message from Earth Command. There's another situation developing in the Theta sector. Civilian transport under attack by pirates. They're requesting immediate assistance. Jack didn't hesitate. Set course for Theta sector. Maximum speed. How long? 8 hours at full burn. Make it 7. Those are people who need help. Jack settled into his command chair. Signal the fleet. We're moving out. As the human ships jumped to faster-than-light travel, racing toward another emergency, a new message began spreading through the galaxy. It moved through trading posts and communication networks, carried by species who'd witnessed what happened at Velian Prime 3. The message was simple but powerful. If you're in trouble and send a distress call, humans will hear it. And they will come, no matter the distance, no matter the danger. They will come. In the dark corners of space, raiders and pirates heard this message and felt a new emotion. Fear. The Krell Syndicate, what remained of it, updated their target lists. Any world, any ship, any station under human protection was marked as forbidden. Commander Varkas, hiding in exile, shared his warning with any who would listen. They call themselves Deathworlders, and they are. But not because they're cruel. Because they're loyal. Cross them once, they'll fight you. Hurt someone they protect, they'll hunt you to the edge of the galaxy. Never forget what I learned. Humans are the most dangerous thing in space, but thank the stars they're on our side. Months later, the Galactic Council held a special session. The Velian ambassador stood before them again, but this time she wasn't alone. Representatives from 4 other species stood with her. All of them had called for human help in recent weeks. All of them had stories of rescue and protection. "We propose formal recognition of humanity as a protector species," the Velian ambassador announced, "and we propose something else. An alliance, not of conquest or control, but of mutual defense. Any species who joins shares their strengths and receives protection in return." The vote wasn't unanimous. Some species remained fearful or suspicious, but more than half voted yes. The Alliance of Protected Worlds was born that day, with Earth at its center. Back on the Titan, Captain Jack received news of the vote. He read the report and smiled. "What do you think, Maria? Ready to be protectors of the galaxy?" Maria grinned. "Captain, we've been protecting people since we lived in caves and fought off predators with sticks. This is just a bigger neighborhood." "Fair point." Jack looked at his crew. "These humans who chose to serve and protect, signal Earth Command. Tell them we accept the responsibility, and remind them of what this means." "What's that, sir?" "It means when someone calls for help, we answer. Every time. No exceptions. That's what humans do." In the colony on Velian Prime 3, young Kess looked up at the night sky. Somewhere out there, Emma and the other humans were racing toward another emergency, protecting another group of strangers who would become friends. Kess touched the bracelet Emma had worn, which the soldier had given back as a promise to return. And she smiled, knowing something the galaxy was just beginning to understand. Humans were Deathworlders. They were dangerous and strong and built for violence, but they chose compassion. They chose to protect instead of conquer. They chose to help instead of hurt. And when you called their name in the darkness, they came running. Not as monsters, as heroes. The Deathworlder armada was always en route, and the galaxy was safer because of it.